Good morning. Welcome, everyone. It's Ella Sengera, your podcast host of Virtually Unbreakable podcast, CBT therapist, and a life coach. And today I have a special guest, Anna Pruszyńska. Anna is a friend of mine, a psychotherapist, couples counselor, and is registered and qualified therapist here in the UK. And today we have a very interesting topic for you guys. We are going to talk about how to deal with conflict in a relationship. And so it's a continuation of our discussions about effective communication and creating that connection with your partner. Anna, welcome to the studio. How are you doing today?
Hello, Ella. It's good to see you again. Thank you for your invitation. It's really amazing to have this conversation with you, to record again for our audience. Yes, and I'm really quite okay. I'm happy to be here again with you, so we can start our conversation.
Great, exactly. And I think today it's great that we found time to discuss this because so many people, I feel, struggle in communicating their limits, communicating their boundaries, and communicating their needs. So I think it would be good if we discuss this a little bit more in detail because people need guidance on how to effectively express their needs and make sure that the partner understands their needs and why they are important. How did you find this based on your work with your clients? What are your main conclusions here, your main takeaways when it comes to resolving conflict in relationships?
Yeah, this is so important topic that is relevant in relationships at home and at work as well. So boundaries, many clients do not have boundaries at all. They don't have
Yeah.
boundaries when they talk to each other. They don't have boundaries when they try to communicate anything. And basically, they either attack each other, so they completely cross the boundary of the other person. They look only at their own interest, at themselves, what they think, feel, and
Yeah,
need. And
totally.
they don't think of another person. So this is the huge issue of boundary, because then you have no space to feel respected in this kind of relationship, right?
Exactly.
Some people also withdraw because of lack of boundaries from the other partner, right? So this is this pursuer withdrawer dynamic that is very often common in couples, in relationships that I'm dealing with. Most of the couples have actually this kind of dynamic in their relationship. So this is perfectly describing, this dynamic is describing crossing the boundaries. One person is trying to pursue the other person to get some love out of them, and they are doing this usually crossing the boundaries of this person. And this way they will never achieve love, they will never achieve what they want from their partner, because this person can withdraw even from a relationship. They might not even talk to them at all. Yeah, so that's the outcome
Yeah.
of
So can you
crossing boundaries.
Sure. So can you give us an example so the viewers and listeners can picture this a bit better, like a real life scenario?
Mm-hmm. So let's say, like, the most stereotypical scenario, husband is coming from work, and his wife is already waiting for him, and she feels frustrated. She got a really tough day, and first thing she's doing, she's like on him. Oh, I'm feeling so bad. It's so wrong. Everything is not right. You're not helping me. And it's like doesn't even give a
Like a
space
one
to the
big
person.
tornado, like a
Yeah.
tornado hitting the guy when he arrives home.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, I'm saying it's the most stereotypical, but very like something that you can picture, and I think many people will understand this situation, and they've
Yeah.
seen this many times. It can be obviously a completely reversed role, but that's how it is. You don't give a space for your partner at all. You don't even ask them if they're ready for conversation. And
Yeah.
this is the first basis of good communication. Are you ready? Like, what's going on? How are you feeling? No, I'm important. My feelings matter.
Yeah.
I'm not even curious what's going on with you. So this is the crossing of boundaries of the other person.
Mm,
It's,
I can totally see that, and I can see that in my old behavior. Um, well, probably now more like 5 years ago. But I can also see that in some of the situations with my friends and clients. It's such a typical scenario, right?
yeah,
And I
yes.
think there's a couple of issues here. One is that we forget that just because we are in a relationship with someone doesn't mean that we owe them, and it doesn't mean that we owe their brain or their time. And we should not, and we are forgetting this, like that the relationship is created to make both people better off.
Mm,
The idea of creating and building a relationship is that we become a better version of ourselves, and the other person is helping us get there. It's not to suffer or to argue or to be disappointed or to have problems and issues and constantly talk about it and constantly live by it and
yeah.
discuss it with others. If we feel that we are in this limiting spiral of limiting behavior, I would call it, that the moment our partner, whether it's a woman or a man, doesn't matter because it's both ways, right?
We'll come
Um,
back to men in a moment. Most stereotypical example. Okay.
yeah, but I have seen this many times, I have to
Mm,
say. And then there is this blame that often follows, which is, you never care about how my day was. You never care about how I'm doing. You are just interested in watching TV and having a beer on the sofa or going to the pub. Um, what kind of relationship is this really about? Where is the love in this? And
mm,
I think we've got to realize when we take that chain of thought that the other person has just been at work. Like us, they have worked hard most of the time, the whole day. They need a little time to themselves to get themselves back to balance. And often that requires anything between 2, 3 minutes to half an hour, or maybe
mm,
even an hour if we had a really tough day and a really something maybe negative happened, right? And
mm.
not everybody needs to talk about it.
Yes.
Just because we women often opt in for a conversation when we struggle with something does not mean that our partner or a man is doing the same. And here again is this problem of assumptions that we think we know the other person, we think we
Mm,
can read in their mind. Just because we want to talk when we had a difficult day, it doesn't mean they need to. Maybe they just need to be still. Maybe they just need a cup of tea or indeed something stronger. And maybe they just need to compose themselves and be more balanced, so then later they are more present with us,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Obviously, as we've been talking together about, like last time, about men who are in this position, who are in this role of pursuers.
Mm-hmm.
There are more and more of men on this spectrum of insecurity in relationship with women, because women become like stronger, more independent, like,
Okay.
let's say, like even it might be extreme, but let's say women become like men before,
Yeah, of course. I mean,
right?
we adopt lots of masculine energy these days,
Yes.
and we think that's what our relationship needs. But
Mm,
often I think we do it so subconsciously that we step into the role of a masculine role in our life, the role of a provider, the role
mm,
of providing security to the family, stability, sorting things out, doing things, making decisions. We
Mm.
step into those roles sometimes because we have to, but we don't practice enough balancing out the masculine and feminine energy, do we?
Yeah, it's more and more difficult. So it's like I'm laughing a bit that we become like a man that we wouldn't want to be in a relationship with.
Yeah, that's a very good thought, I think. I
So
know
it's like,
it sounds a borderline, like it can be misunderstood, but it's so much truth in that, I think.
mm, mm,
And I think the correction comes, or the change comes, only when we realize that there's two of us in this relationship together, two individuals who have different needs, different expectations, different mindsets, different ways of relaxing, possibly, different ways of connecting, might have different love languages,
mm,
and different types of traumas and childhood wounds and insecurities that we need to address.
yeah.
So approaching the other person with a bit of a more consciousness of them being a human that deserves space and respect cannot do us any harm, right?
Mm. It's like, as you said, like we are crossing also the boundary by even thinking about our partners that are less of a man or less of a woman, right? Whatever
Mm.
it is in this case, but looking down to to our partners that he's not good enough,
Oh yeah.
judging them
Mm.
somehow because they have weaknesses. So instead of like trying to understand this
Yeah.
our limits, because this is normal, all of us have limits. So instead of understanding these limits and weaknesses, we're not curious about these edges also of our partner, but we just
Yeah.
push and look down at them, judge
Yeah.
them.
Judge them. Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to even notice the
Mm.
positive side of our partners,
Yeah.
strengths they have, because we look so down on them, we focus on weaknesses. And then, from this perspective, you will always cross the boundary of this person. You will not respect this person
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. And so there's few things here. I totally agree with you. There's few things I want to pick on here. One is the limiting beliefs and biases that we fall for. But there is also another term that just slipped my mind. It's called cognitive distortions. That's it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cognitive distortions, super popular
Yeah.
thing we use every day that we don't realize we use. One of them is generalization. We generalize that because one person did something wrong once or
Mhm.
twice, they will
Mhm.
always do it wrong. And
Yes.
we talk about it
Mhm.
almost to the point where the ears can drop, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. It's your modality has great tools to work with that.
That's right. Yeah.
CBT modality is really perfect for working through these limiting beliefs, distortions, like all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
like negative patterns that are here and now, and you can look at them. You
Mm-hmm.
can show this to your clients. This is
Yeah.
really good, tool
But
for
yeah, thank
working.
you. But also there's other thing that I want to mention is that how often, and I'm just going to talk about women for a minute, because I've observed this more in women than I have in men. How often are we women indirectly blaming our partner for our own lack of ability to set boundaries and say
Mhm.
no to people?
Yeah.
Not just our partner, not just say no to our partner, but everybody. So what I'm trying to express here is that very often I've observed in my female friends and in my clients and in the past in my own behavior that I did not have the ability to believe in myself and understand myself enough to know my own value system. And because I
Mhm.
didn't know my own value system and I wasn't sure what is my identity in the world, I was kind of easily saying yes to people whenever I was needed, whenever something was expected of me, I would just say yes and agree to things. Then I would get myself all exhausted.
Yeah.
Very often there would be very little appreciation for what I have maybe completed to my best potential. And my efforts would not be seen or recognized. And I would
And
feel
even criticized.
or even criticized. And I would often feel deflated and misunderstood and disrespected, and somehow my borders crossed, my boundaries crossed. And then what it does when we do this subconsciously, that we say yes to everyone, it validates our boundaries and our identity, what we stand for, right?
Yeah.
And then that causes us to be resentful. And that resentment, we very often transfer to on our partner in our relationship. And an example of that could be that we have elderly parents, and we maybe have a sister or brother who can help out occasionally with our parents' shopping. But let's say they're not very emotionally mature, and we feel like we always have to do it ourselves, but we don't have to. We just don't practice saying no. And that situation with caring for older parent or a ill child, for example, is or a neighbor is making us so tired and so deflated and feeling so underappreciated that that has impact on how we speak to our partner.
Yes,
And we
I
might,
completely agree with you, Ara. This is a very good example, really. Very,
yeah,
very good example. And I would say that it's also not so straightforward, not so easy, because, there is this resentment that you say, there is this, like, as you said, like your role, even, like you admit that there is your role in saying
yeah,
yes, in pleasing someone. But at the same time, it's like there is another side of the coin. Can you really look at this partner or your brother or sister, in this example of caring for elderly parent or whoever, do they have capacity to do that? Are they able to do that? Or maybe they are already so overwhelmed that they cannot do that. But if you will not talk to them about that, if there is no proper communication, you don't know each other's overwhelms.
yeah,
You
you don't
don't
know each
know
other
each
limits.
other's hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who like, because you are like imagining. So again, how do you call it? Like these distortions, right?
Yeah.
These thought patterns of distortion, that you imagine the other person
Yeah.
somehow in your head, focusing on yourself, right?
It's called jumping to conclusions. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
exactly. So until you
yeah.
talk to them and you say, look, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that I have to deal with all of that. It is really hard for me. Do you think you would be able to take some of these duties on yourself? How can you support me? Because I took too much on myself, like, so being honest,
Yeah. Vulnerable.
vulnerable, honest.
But this is exactly where the problem lies. Is very often the conflict in a romantic relationship, which is what we're talking about today, stems from our own inability to set our own boundaries, get to know ourselves very well, protect our identity and values.
Yeah.
And I'm talking from a women perspective now. And that then causes resentment, disappointment, distrust, jumping to conclusions, ineffective communication, all of which is very often transferred onto our partner and is visible in the way we communicate and connect with them. And we don't give them enough credit, quite frankly, for the bits that they are doing well, because there is loads of bits they are doing well, and there are few bits they're not doing so well. But if we focus on the positives, it will give them motivation to continue the positive things, and we will not push away their love from us by being unconsciously negative and resentful, right?
This is so important. Like, it's so easy to lose yourself in negativity. Really, it's so easy because this is somehow, for some reason, more natural to human mind, right? So
Yeah.
we tend to like catch this negativity and stay with it. And
Yeah.
it's like harder to be grateful. We actually
We,
need to train ourselves to be grateful, to validate other people, especially if we haven't got this kind of treatment in our family homes, because
yeah.
this is autopilot. Like, if you were not
Mm.
validated, if your feelings were not validated, if your parents didn't say any good word to you, it was just obvious what you are doing, like no praise, no
Yeah.
awareness of you as a person, like as a separate person. So how can you give it to your partner if you don't know how to do that?
Totally, totally. And look, guys, imagine so many of you grew up in a family home where you maybe your efforts were not recognized and seen by your carers or parents, and it might have felt like you are never good enough.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you're never good enough. You
Mm.
then live your life believing you are not good enough, you don't deserve true love. You don't deserve the best career you can get. You're not worthy of some sort
Mm.
of achievements,
Mhm.
people praising you, and you take the same approach subconsciously towards your partner.
Of course, and what
because
I would add
because you
here.
cannot
Mhm.
because you cannot be kind to yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself,
Mm.
see the positive in you, and not see the positive in the other. It doesn't work like that. You either see it in everyone or
Yeah.
you see it in no one, right?
Mhm. What I would add, coming back to boundaries, so if you are in this position, like the Ella that you are describing, so you have a tendency to either withdraw from relationships completely because you are so hurt that you are not able to form a relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
you shut yourself down in some
Mm-hmm.
kind of work or world without relationships, yes?
Yeah.
Or you just you become people pleaser, right? So
Mm.
something that you said, that you do everything even if you are overwhelmed, yes, and then you are resentful. So these are like these two examples. And then you are also prone, coming back to our main topic of boundaries, you are also prone to giving people like, you allow people to step on you.
Mm.
They can do anything with you. And if you will meet the person who doesn't have boundaries, who think only of themselves, more on narcissistic spectrum, right? Or more of on psychopathic spectrum. So there's like 5% of society, of humans on this spectrum quite highly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you meet this kind of person, they will suck you, they'll suck life out of you, they
Oh,
will take
totally. Oh,
everything,
totally.
they will just run over you
Run over you
completely.
like you were run over a bus,
Yeah.
and your life will be so miserable. You will be so miserable. You might be depressed for years, and you might call it motherhood or
Mm,
being tired as a mom or being busy as a mom.
mm.
We've both heard many definitions
Yeah.
of that, right?
Let's be fair for
And
men, because really very many men meet also women like this,
yeah.
that they get suck all everything from them, and in the end they get a divorce and they suck their all finances, they leave them
Mm,
with one suitcase sometimes,
yeah. Yeah.
completely destroyed. I've got clients like that, with completely
Wow.
destroyed mindset, no money, completely like in trauma, with serious PTSD, because this woman was damaging them emotionally so much, like having romances, like gaslighting them, and at the same time, using them as a provider for a family
Wow.
during all this
Yeah.
time, and uh, treating him, giving him this treatment, like just to do whatever she wants. So it
Yeah.
can completely destroy a man at the end of this kind of relationship. So
Yeah.
let's be fair. It's not like women. It's like in stereotypical situations.
Yeah.
Perhaps most of the cases is like there is the violence towards women, but
Yeah.
there's more and
Yeah, totally.
more openness towards a reverse situation
Yeah,
in current world.
of course. And well done for bringing this up, and I'm glad you did. But and look, guys, in situations where other people are unfortunately sounds like perfectly capable of destroying our lives,
Mm.
how important is it to learn to set boundaries?
Yeah.
It's super important. It's important to learn how to express your needs, how to express your value system, how to build a strong resilience and identity in and outside of a relationship. It's important to learn how to manage conflict, but at the same time, it's super important how to know how to connect and build trust and intimacy with the
Mm.
partner. And one of the reasons why we are talking about this today is because Anna and myself are running a very special event on the 25th of June at 6 p.m. The link to that event you will find underneath this video, where we will talk precisely about those topics that I've just mentioned and more. So if relationships are important to you, and they should be, because they are one of the biggest factors determining our happiness in life, then you should join us on the 25th of June.
And I would say success. I like any form of
Totally.
success, because imagine like you're the person that we've been discussing today, right? This type of person, this example of person who is not able to recognize the abuse.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
you let someone to cross the boundaries, and you are at work and your boss is doing this to you. Your
Yeah.
colleagues from work are doing this for you,
Yeah.
right? To you.
Yeah.
And then you don't know even how to respond, what to do with that, how to set boundaries, how to say no, right? Because you are scared of the punishment of being rejected, whatever you're scared of. And then, you need to learn that, and you need to start learning to recognize people who can really destroy you. And you need to learn how to be in a relationship, even if your partner is not that
How to build a healthy
toxic.
relationship, right?
Yeah.
What
Even
is,
if you're. Mhm.
first of all, what is a healthy relationship? You need to understand that. You need to understand the healthy power dynamics in a relationship and unhealthy, and how to build a healthy one. Because
Mm.
most people have a trouble with understanding and defining what is a healthy, supportive relationship.
Oh, that's
Right?
true. And I can see this in couples. It can go so bad. Even people who are not like that disturbed or that toxic. Like I'm not talking about even pathologies, but people who are not conscious
Yeah,
much. So if
totally.
they start the relationship, everything is fine, and it's slowly going down the hill on the way, and it can get to, if the dynamic doesn't change, it can, even normal calm people can become very violent
Totally.
if this
And
dynamic is
and
not
we
broken.
most of the time we allow it to happen in front of our eyes because
Yes,
we don't have enough courage to stop something that is not serving us.
yes.
And one of the big reasons why we're not doing it is because we have a poor self-image and a low self-esteem, right?
Mm.
But guys, more on that during our event. Um, please consider joining us. You will learn a lot, you will practice a lot. There will be some networking, there will be an interactive part of this workshop. So very exciting place to be. And in case you have any questions, you can reach out to Anna or myself. Our contact details are underneath the video. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for today, Anna. It's been lovely talking to you again.
Thank you so much, Ella, for invitation. I'm really very super excited for this workshop
Me
together.
too.
It is life changing. If you've never done any work like this, so you have really a lot of tools, tools for changing your communication and your life. So,
Exactly. So
yeah,
we will be giving you skill set on the plate that you can benefit from for the rest of your life, whether
mm,
you are single or you are in a couple.
Yeah, and we're like talking theory a bit and maybe some examples, but during this kind of workshop, you will do your work yourself because there will be a lot of exercises. It's not just simply talking about this. It will be very practical.
Lots of
So this
practice.
is very worth like a lot of practice, a lot of exact examples, what to say, how to run the conversation, how to set up these boundaries even, right? That you are not maybe able to set up. And we'll also talk a bit about where does that come from in your particular example, because it might be a bit vague and you might not find yourself in these examples that we actually discussed today. You might be having a bit different dynamic in your relationship or in your job, like in your relationships, not only romantic but professional. But if you come, you can talk about your particular situation and we'll discuss, we'll get into that, and we will give you tips in your situation. Like it will be
Right.
especially aimed to resolve your difficulties, your relational issues.
Your
This is,
individual circumstances.
yeah, this is something really very valuable to move on with your life, and it can change so quickly everything.
And more details on that, there is in the link below. You can read about description of the event, what is included. And in case you have any further questions, you can reach out to us. Thank you so much for today. Thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you.
See you soon. Bye.
The next time. Bye.